Ryan, you can start. We have a quorum. We do have a couple more people that we are expecting. And I just sent out a couple of emails with the Zoom link. So up to you on waiting another minute or getting started.
Okay, I'll just give it one more minute. Let me know if all those members join up, Katie. All right, I think I will go ahead and get us started for today. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Monday. With a quorum present, the Maricopa Regional Continuum of Care Board meeting is now called to order. Please remember to mute when you are not speaking. Board members, please do not use the chat function as the audience watching cannot see it. And before we get started, and I ask Katie to take the roll call today, I just want to be super mindful of time today as several board members and several audience members will need to be leaving for another meeting that's at 3 o'clock today. So I'm hoping we can get all of our business done before then. Katie, would you please take the roll call? And as she does so, if you could just state your name and organization, I'd sure appreciate it.
Tish Brown, Gambino. Jacqueline Campbell.
Here.
Eric Cole.
Eric Cole here, ASU.
Thank you. Liz DaCosta. Marshall Franklin.
Present. Marshall Franklin, City of Phoenix.
Ted Geary. Lisa Glow.
President, Central Arizona Shelter Services.
Chris Hallett.
Present, City of Peoria.
Rob Podlocker.
Present, Valley of the Sun United Way.
Joan Service.
Here, present, Joan Service, Arizona Housing Coalition.
Charles Sullivan. Jackie Taylor.
Jackie Taylor, Save the Family.
Danielle Wright.
Present, Arizona Coalition to End Sexual and Domestic Violence.
Chair Ryan Welch.
Present, City of Chandler. Thanks, everyone. So happy to see you all today. So the next item on the agenda is a call to the audience. Members of the public were given an opportunity to submit written comments relating to this meeting at azmag.gov/comment within an hour of the posted start time for the meeting, or can join the Zoom meeting by requesting the link from MAG staff or registering on the COC board meeting event page. If you are wishing to make a comment, please raise your hand in Zoom and you will be invited to unmute at that time. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes. Katie, were there any comments received or anyone who has joined the call to offer comments at this time?
Madam Chair, no comments were received and no one has raised their hand at this time.
Okay, and I just heard another click. Did we get another board member?
Yep, Liz just arrived.
Okay, Liz, do you want to just state your name and your organization, please?
Absolutely. Good afternoon. Liz DaCosta with Community Bridges.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Was that just another?
Yep, Charles also just arrived.
Charles.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Hi, Charles with ABC Housing.
Thanks so much, Charles. Okay. One more. Leticia, was that who it was? Yeah, if you could just state your name and organization.
Letitia Brown Gambino, UMOM New Day Centers.
Thank you so much, Letitia. Okay, now we will move on to our next agenda item, which is approval of minutes. So does any member of the board have questions or comments on the January 31st, 2022 meeting minutes? Okay, seeing and hearing none, could I please have a motion to approve the January 31st, 2022 Maricopa Regional Continuum of Care Board meeting minutes?
Lisa,
Motion.
Go ahead, Lisa.
I'll move to approve the minutes of January.
I'll second. Jackie.
Jackie? Okay, thank you very much. So we have a motion from Lisa and a second from Jackie. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, I will now ask Katie to proceed with the roll call vote. Please indicate clearly how you vote, stating yay or nay after your name is called.
Tish Brown Gambino,
Yay.
Jacqueline Campbell,
Jacqueline, you may be on mute.
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. I agree.
Eric Cole,
Yay.
Liz DeCosta,
Yay.
Marshall Franklin,
Yay.
Tad Gary, Lisa Glow,
Yay.
Chris Hallett,
Yay.
Rob Hoblager,
Yay.
Joan Service,
Yay.
Charles Sullivan,
Yay.
Jackie Taylor,
Yay.
Danielle Wright,
Yay.
Chair Ryan Balch.
Yay.
The motion passes unanimously. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, the next agenda item will be updates. Chairs of committees with recent activity will be asked to share with us. In addition to verbal comment, there has been a memo included in your agenda packet with written updates. So we will first hear a legislative update from Board Member Joan Service from the Arizona Housing Coalition. Hi, Joan.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon, sorry. Happy Monday, everybody. Okay, so there's been a lot of activity at the state legislature, a lot focused on housing and affordable housing and ending homelessness. I think when we last chatted, there was a rather large bill, House Bill 2674, taking a look at both the zoning aspects of affordable housing, or actually housing creation, both the supply side and somewhat the affordability side. That bill, due to basically it was led by the Multifamily Housing Association and the home builders, worked with the bipartisan bill sponsors, Representative Chavez and Kaiser. It was not heard initially in committee. They withdrew it to go back to the stakeholder process. But that what has come from that now is a study committee with an emergency clause and an appropriation to look at both the housing supply and housing affordability side, the challenges our state faces. There's a 11-member makeup of this study committee, and I believe the 11th member is to represent a statewide advocacy organization. So I have a feeling that that I'll be on that committee representing you all through that process. But that initial piece of legislation, the by right municipal zoning conversation, prompted a lot of our local jurisdiction partners to basically put pen to paper on some of the affordable housing zoning, affordable housing plans that they had already been knee deep in crafting. And so that led to Senate Bill 1634, which was prompted by the League of Arizona Cities and Towns. That bill actually was withdrawn. And what we're seeing now is that the municipality partners, like folks from the League of Arizona Cities and Towns, have joined that House Bill 2674. So what's good is that sometimes we throw things. What's the saying? You throw spaghetti to the wall and see what sticks. I think these partners are actually coming to the table to really hash out some of the concerns that they each have. But I think the reality is that, as I've always said, both parties are affordable housing advocates. They just may not always know it. So that's that on the both Senate Bill 1634 and House Bill 2674. The other kind of process that's been happening at the state legislature, there's been, let's see here, Senate Bill 1531 passed the Senate appropriations last week, which was a bill proposed by Senator Alston, our longtime Housing Trust Fund champion, and would allocate $100 million of the American Rescue Plan dollars to the Housing Trust Fund. It's a one-time allocation. There's Senate Bill 1117, which is a something that the Housing Coalition has been working on, and it removes an arbitrary cap on the number of affordable housing units developers can create to receive property tax abatement. That also passed Senate appropriation. And then I don't know if Lisa wants to speak to, but Senate Bill 1263, which is an idea championed by Senator Livingston and Cass and a few others that are committed to ending homelessness in our community. What the bill does is develops a creative funding source using unencumbered monies in excess of the Arizona IDA operating costs to help bolster the state housing trust fund. So again, love the idea of some creative financing going to the housing trust fund. I believe, and maybe Lisa can speak to this, the bill in its current iteration dedicates that new stream of funds to support emergency and transitional housing services. But I believe there's somewhere in the stakeholder process, there was some more conversations that Lisa might be able to speak to. And then I see you came off of mute, so I'll let you.
Yeah, absolutely. There were some changes that were supposed to be made at the appropriation hearing. One was made, which is only 50% of those Arizona IDA funds would go towards emergency and transitional shelter services statewide. And then there's some conversations going on now to possibly look through a different revenue stream to try to get some operating dollars for those few of us, as you say, who want to end homelessness. We have been underfunded in operating dollars, so we're hoping that this one will make it all the way through.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. And then lastly, and kind of the, I don't know, elephant in the room, I don't know if you want to say it that way, Senate Bill 1581. This is a striker amendment that first came last legislative session. And this is an idea to create structured camping facilities. And so there could be some unintended consequences that I believe there's going to be a stakeholder process to discuss. But the good news is that it's not redirected. Last year, there was a conversation of redirecting existing funds. This bill, which passed the Senate appropriations, Senate Bill 1581, basically allocates $50 million of ARPA dollars to the structured camping facility, $30 million to go to cities who already have established camping prohibitions, and $20 million to nonprofits to work with police to enforce those camping and sleeping bans. So there is a continuing conversation about this. There's some concerns on behalf of the Housing Coalition that we'll be looking to carry forward. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions for Joan? Joan, are there any specific actions you would recommend for support or non-support that people may want to do at this time?
Well, I know MAG, it may not be able to, but individuals, either on wearing your own hat or on behalf, if you're authorized on behalf of your organization, we'd encourage you to make known your concerns or comments or support for any of these ideas that we've proposed or that we've discussed, or not just your support, but also any concerns or opposition. Like I said, on behalf of the Housing Coalition, we have some concerns with the current iteration of the strike everything to Senate Bill 1581, but hopeful that the stakeholder process can hopefully iron that out.
Okay, I appreciate that, Joan. I know that from a municipal perspective, I think that all of our legislative liaisons have been briefed on these bills and are ready to advocate along with some of us who are also impacted at a content level. So I hope the rest of you all and your organizations will be speaking your feelings about these bills, communicating with your legislators. I think that would be great. Appreciate you following these, Joan, and all the work you're doing around these every day. Thanks. If there's no other, go ahead.
I had my hand raised. I don't know if you can see.
I did. I'm sorry about that. Thank you.
No. I just raised it. I just want to say, yeah, thank you, Joan. And this year is the first time that I've really seen a strong bipartisan effort at the legislature. And I think it's important for stakeholders to weigh in and continue to weigh in, even if they can't make the 3:00 stakeholder call, which I have to drop off for. I've been weighing in on language to try to change things, and some has already been changed that are areas of concern in that camping bill. Some has come out, and I think other things are going to continue to be adjusted, but voices need to be heard. And the fact that we're having that kind of dialogue and input, and the fact there's $100 million being recommended to the Housing Trust Fund. I don't know if that's just for affordable housing. That would be my hope. Joan, do you know if that's just for affordable housing, the $100 million?
So ultimately, the $100 million allocation and in its current iteration, the Housing Trust Fund serves the full housing continuum from street living homelessness all the way to home stability. So that's the way it's current. The Housing Trust Fund has its current flexibility. And that would also be the case with the $100 million that was passed out of Senate appropriations.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Lisa. And thank you once again, Joan.
Chair Balch, Amy Schwabenlander from the audience has her hand raised.
Great. Amy, are you able to communicate with us right now?
Testing.
Perfect.
Okay.
Welcome, Amy.
Thank you, Chairwoman Balch and COC Board. I guess my question is, I believe MAG has a lobbyist, and there's now a MAG regional plan for cities and towns and tribes to address homelessness. And so is MAG looking at that plan and these bills to provide feedback to the legislature as these bills move through the session to talk about bills that support the Maricopa plan? Encampments or camps are not part of the regional plan. There were very clear units of housing and temporary housing mentioned in the regional plan. There was the one level of financial analysis. So I guess I don't know if that happens. Can it happen? It seems to me like it would be a good connection and a good tie for the regional plan to be connected to these bills and this one-time American Rescue Plan funding. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Amy. I have asked the same questions and got some answers today from MAG. So I'd like Amy St. Peter to please, or Kelly, whoever you guys deem most appropriate, to please brief the board and audience.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you, Amy Schwabenlander, for that question. We're very excited to be able to work with all of you as we work really hard to implement Pathways Home, the Regional Homelessness Action Plan. We are very focused on those efforts. We will not be commenting on the legislation that's underway. MAG does not have a position on 1581 in terms of the encampments. We recognize that there are a lot of ideas all around the table on that, and we look forward to the stakeholder dialogue to be able to address each of those. And as per the direction that we've received in the past from the board, we continue to defer to the Arizona Housing Coalition on issues related to any pending legislation and advocacy. They are really built to be able to do that work very well, and they do that work very well on a consistent basis. So that will continue to be our position at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. One of the ideas that I had been mulling around in my head and wanted to ask, and it would be an ask of both MAG and Joan in terms of their level of comfort, would be, is it okay for the Arizona Housing Coalition to mention if the board so chooses, that the board supports or doesn't support something.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I know the previous charter had some language around advocacy like that. It's my understanding that the current charter does not necessarily include that language. I think it might be good for the board to really delve into that topic. I know that you have a strategic planning session coming up, and I think that would be a great opportunity for the board to really to be able to get some good perspectives from all of the board members on that topic, and then to determine the best course of action moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Joan, feedback?
Yeah, just to share that, I didn't necessarily speak, directly to the Maricopa Continuum of Care, but in voicing our concerns, we did share that, as professionals working in this field, we know that it's, these types of practices like camping camping facilities, tent cities, et cetera, aren't considered best practice. And we also mentioned that, and I believe this is still the case, that by having this proposed legislation, it could jeopardize our HUD funding, because I think HUD still is operating under a housing first, philosophy, and I think that we lose some points. We lose some of our competitive edge when we have these structured camping facilities, kind of authorized. So while I did not, again, make mention of the regional plan, that was definitely forefront in my mind, and happy to entertain any questions or comments on that, or receive feedback from you all.
Thank you, Joan. Lisa?
Yes, it would be great to share those best practices today at the stakeholder meeting. I think one of the reasons that the proponents put this bill together is the rising numbers, and all across the nation, there are communities that are putting together structured supported camping. The bill requires that there be water, toilets, security, follow the coordinated entry process, case management services, similar to what happened during the pandemic. So probably a lot of you saw that I put in support for resources, but said there's language that I believe needs to be changed. So I would not want to, at this point, put a vote to this group. I would vote in support of it at this time with the language out. So I think it's a little bit more complex, but I would like to see where it says best practices, and that HUD is threatened, funding is threatened by providing structured support to people in campsites.
Okay. I would also like, and I think a lot of this information will come out today at the stakeholder session. I would note from a municipal perspective, there's significant concern around the Boise versus Martin findings, and the idea of enforcing, banning camping in public places, and whether or not a sanctioned, or that's not the word, structured camping facility would meet the decision's idea of adequate shelter. So there are a lot of issues surrounding this bill. Again, language is very important. Resources, yes, not every resource is necessarily the right fit for our community. So I think Amy Schwabenlander, I hope that answered some of your questions and others, and I hope you will all, anyone who's interested would please join the stakeholder session that is today at 3 o'clock. And I think if you don't have an invite to that meeting and would like one, I'm thinking potentially email Joan while you're in this meeting so you can get that information. Joan, is that something you can provide?
Yeah, actually, but hat tip to Lisa, because she's the one who's coordinating.
Lisa.
Yeah.
Okay.
But either one of us can.
Lisa, would that be something you could provide to members who are interested? Oh, you're muted, Lisa.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And for those of you that is the meeting that we are all skedaddling to at 3 p.m. today. So please join if this is important to you. I appreciate it. Okay. Think we will move on to our next update. Thank you, Joan, and thank you everyone who commented. Thank you, Amy Schwabenlander, for joining in the discussion. I really appreciate it when the public is with us. So Next, we will hear from Rachel Milne with Maricopa County for an update on the ESG subcommittee. Hi, Rachel.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm here to tell you a little bit about what the ESG subcommittee has been up to. And the key word for ESG this year is alignment. The ESG subcommittee is made up of Maricopa County, Arizona Department of Economic Security, cities of Phoenix, Glendale, Tempe, and Mesa. And this year, we've really decided to align as much as possible with our ESG RFPs, contracts, scopes of work, and performance measurements. So we are biting off a little bit at a time with ESG, working with CSH, a consultant from CSH, and Nikki Stevens from MAG to look at first rapid rehousing and shelter, and look at what the HUD regulations allow us to do with those two interventions, and then putting that language directly into our RFPs and contracts. The reason for this is after having some listening sessions with providers, folks that, nonprofit providers that apply for these funds and get these contracts, each municipality or ESG subrecipient has a little bit different take on things. So what might be allowable in, say, one municipality might not be allowable at Maricopa County if you have a rapid rehousing contract with each. So we're really looking to align those. And it just so happens that all of us that RFP are up for RFPs this year. So not only will it make it easier for providers that are applying to us, but then if you're awarded with a contract, it will be easier to maintain that contract and not sort of have to play any sort of a shell game with your contract. So that's what we're up to. We meet this week to discuss rapid and shelter specifically. And then after we tackle rapid and shelter, we're going to move on to the other two ESG interventions of street outreach and prevention. So really looking forward to the discussion and getting everyone on the same page to allow as much flexibility as the HUD regulations allow. Thanks for letting me be here today.
Awesome, Rachel. Thank you so much. Does anyone have questions or comments for Rachel and the ESG subcommittee? I know that's something that has been talked about for a long time, and that providers, I hope, will really benefit providers and the whole system, honestly. All right, seeing no hands up, I am going to move on. Next, we're going to hear from Matthew Kelly with Mercy Care for an update on our coordinated entry subcommittee. Matthew, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good,
Thank you for being here.
Happy to be here, in fact. So first and foremost, I just wanted to go ahead and let everybody know that we did elect a co-chair to the Coordinated Entry Subcommittee. That co-chair is Jasani Goodman from Phoenix Rescue Mission. Unfortunately, she is having some technical issues and technically isn't working today. So she is watching on YouTube, but not present. So hello, Jasani. Our second update is more or less the next project that the Coordinated Entry Subcommittee is working on. And through a series of discussions and more or less kind of a vote, it was decided that the Coordinated Entry Subcommittee was going to start to tackle the integration of the domestic violence system into the Coordinated Entry system as well. So we have actually started a small work group, some members of the Coordinated Entry Subcommittee, as well as key stakeholders from the DV community as well, to start having those conversations. We've had 2 meetings up till now. I think the first 2 meetings were both really productive. We've kind of taken the task at hand and broken it into 2 different categories. I think the first task is going to be access that we're going to be working on. And then the second task we're going to be working on is prioritization. We're already starting to make some progress on the access point. In fact, we have another small work group to meet with a few people to kind of talk through a possible solution for the single system. So we're super excited about that. And I think it's really important to recognize that the DV providers have come to the table. Everybody seems to be really, I think, having some really great conversation and is looking towards solutions for this. So super excited about that. And then the last thing, I think I'm just going to go ahead and mention it, but I believe Kelly is going to talk about it, is the selection of the Coordinated Entry evaluation consultant. But I think that's on your agenda. So I'm just gonna put a pause there. So thank you.
Gosh, thank you so much, Matthew. Another thing that's been talked about and approached at different times in our history, this is really exciting news. It sounds like it's going very positively. My one question for you today is, I assume that my language could be outdated, but the DV stop piece of it, is that going to be separate from coordinated entry, the emergency line versus the housing that's going into coordinated entry?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So really what we're talking about is the integration into that coordinated entry piece specifically, where the line is going to remain the same. Nothing is going to change with the way individuals access the service. It's just the access to the coordinated entry system we're addressing.
Okay, so this will be perhaps after people are through their immediate crisis and in somewhere stable, like an emergency shelter or transitional housing, and now they're trying to move forward to something even more permanent.
Correct.
Okay.
It's going to be kind of looking at it from both sides of the coin, obviously, because people don't just enter it from the DV side. They might enter it from the single side and flow through that process. But yeah, we're going to be looking specifically at the CE portion.
Awesome.
Yep.
Wonderful news. Anyone else have any comments?
Matthew, I have a question. This is Letitia from UMOM.
Hi there.
Are we coordinating with the data subcommittee to discuss how to incorporate the DV system into HMIS? Will we have that tracking capability to have them included in HMIS?
So that's a piece that we're kind of working through. We do have Solari at the table right now having some of the initial discussions. I think if we need to present something to the data subcommittee for further approval, we'll definitely be doing that. But we're, like I said, pretty early in that process. So yeah.
Because I'm only asking because I'm just thinking that they would be able to be engaged in HMIS, but actually attach ghost numbers to their folks that they're serving. So everyone can have the same opportunities for the housing interventions that we have already attached to them.
Right. And that's been some initial discussions that we've already had. And I think if we need to present something specifically to the data subcommittee as we move forward, we're absolutely willing to do that. I think we want to have somewhat of a framework set up at first so that we can present something with some logical process involved, if that makes sense.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right. Anyone else have questions, comments for Matthew and the coordinated entry subcommittee? All right. Thanks so much, Matthew. Appreciate you. Thank you. All of the committee as well. Let me just move screens a little bit here. Okay. Do we have any other committees or subcommittees that have an update at this time? Katie, I'm guessing you're monitoring the chat there.
Yes, you're good to move on to your next agenda item.
Great. Does any other board member have anything they want to discuss in terms of subcommittee work at this time? All right, seeing and hearing none, I will move on to the next agenda item. So I saw Maggie. Welcome, Maggie. Research analyst at MAG will be providing an overview of the system flow synthesis. I'm so excited about this. I've been waiting for this moment. The synthesis will be produced on a quarterly basis and available for a greater audience. In addition to approval of the synthesis, we will discuss the communication strategy around the synthesis. That's just too many S's for me. We are talking about this awesome dashboard that shows what's going on in our system. So welcome, Maggie.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. So good afternoon. I'm Maggie. I'm a research analyst. I've been working really closely with the HMIS team and RCOC team to create this quarterly synthesis report. So it's using HMIS data from the system flow dashboard. It uses demographics from the active list, and then it uses quarterly system performance measure updates. And I know Stephanie from HMIS is with us today as well. So Stephanie, feel free to chime in at any point. But today we'll be going over the most recent report, which covers October to December of 2021. So I'll start with just the total number of actively homeless households. If you can see my screen here. Overall, the lines are relatively flat, especially compared to previous quarters. There wasn't really significant change besides a slight decrease in the number of actively homeless households and singles. And then there was a slight down and then up for families. So compared to previous quarters, the trend we're seeing is that there seems to be a bit of a plateau or stagnation in the numbers since the rise in peak numbers of last quarter, particularly in April, there was kind of a peak there. Though for families, they hit their peak of 776 households in October of this quarter. So similarly, the trends for new to system and housing placements has remained fairly steady over October through December, with a slight decrease in new clients to the system and then a slight up and then down in housing placements. The next section is a demographic snapshot of the most recent month in the quarter, which would be December of 2021. So this data comes from the HMIS active list. No major changes in the demographics breakdown. It's pretty similar to what we usually see, but we do want to note that this quarter, we made sure to clarify that this data is based on heads of household. We are looking into expanding this to look at demographics for all clients in the household for the next quarterly report, but we'll keep you updated on that. And one thing I'll highlight is that in this paragraph, right under the race and ethnicity chart, we mentioned a recent analysis that the HMIS team ran. So it showed that across all households experiencing homelessness, 29% are Black or African American, but specifically looking at families experiencing homelessness, 44% are Black or African American. So it really emphasizes the disparity for Black families in our system. And the bottom of this section compares the HMIS data to census data from the latest 2020 census and the American Community Survey. Again, not too many changes from the last quarterly report, so you can just take a closer look on here later. The next page shows trends for the past year for specific subpopulations. So looking at older adults, youth, veterans, and chronic. So I'll let you all take a closer look yourselves, but generally no significant change, mostly a plateau with a slight decrease up or down and some changes in inflow or outflow. So it's kind of matching that overall trend we're seeing for this quarter of no significant change. You can kind of see though that in December of 2021, for each of these subpopulations, inflow and outflow seem to have converged once more because they kind of go up and down, but they're kind of meeting for all of these in December. And the final page covers system performance measures as well as a snapshot of clients by program type. So we did update these this SPM section based on feedback. We hope that this can help you more quickly see the changes. So now under each metric, we have a comparison to last quarter. And then on the side, you can see the 2020 SPM submission and then also the goal for this year. So the up and down arrows show an increase or a decrease. And then we put green for favorable progress and then red for unfavorable progress. So it's easier to see if we're heading in the right direction. Overall, we're seeing improvements, particularly in increasing job and income growth, and then also in increasing successful permanent housing exits. So for both of these metrics, you can see we've actually met the goal. So hopefully we can continue this trend and also see improvements in the other metrics as well. And just for this last section, from October to December of 2021, there were 5 new projects that came on board. So you can see the breakdown and then kind of the full table of clients by month by program type in this full report. So this was really just a high level update. The full report, of course, has all the details. So feel free to spend some more time with it and send questions our way. That's all I have. Thank you. And does anyone have any thoughts or questions?
I have a question. Under the systems performance measures, is that combining both adults and families? And do we break those out separately as well?
I believe this is for the entire system. Stephanie, if you're there, if you want to speak more to it.
Yeah, this is looking at the entire system. Yes.
All clients.
So it's combining families, singles.
Okay. So our adults tend to stay a lesser amount of time than our families. So that's why I asked that.
Can you help on the same screen here? You've got you know, I think I understand it, but just to be clear, so if it has a green check mark next to the goal, goal, if it's right above it, an arrow up is green. What does that mean versus the red on the left side? So increasing successful exits, we're down 6%, but we're green for the 48%.
Yeah. So, so for that example, we're looking here at this bottom left, right? Increasing successful exits. So it's all based on different comparisons. So the goal is our goal for this year, what we want to achieve for the 2021 submission. We have not met it. We want to get to 53% successful exits. Right above it, the 2020 submission, we were at 48%. So, this might be, let's see. I think this was a little mistake. I'll go ahead and fix that. But it's a comparison to this number here, and right under it is a comparison to last quarter. So last quarter, it was 46%, and then this quarter is 40%. That's why it's a red down arrow. But I'll get this little arrow fixed right here.
Okay.
Does that make more sense?
Yeah, that does. Thank you.
Yeah.
From quarter versus prior year.
Yes.
The current number relative to 2020.
Yeah.
Is that arrow. Got it.
That's right. That's right.
On the reduced first time homeless, the other question I had on the very front was the numbers we have for new to system. Those are numbers per month and they add up this number for the year. Is that correct?
I believe. Yeah, this is just looking at this quarter. And then, so Stephanie, do you think you could kind of help speak to this a little bit?
Hi, yeah, what was the question? Is it looking at quarters versus?
So kind of.
Yeah, these, you have a number 909 for December and you got a 9 middle and a 947. So I don't know if those are monthly numbers, unique individuals, you know, is it all three of them for the quarter?
Yeah, so the 909 is December's number, 920 would be November's number, and then 947 would be October's number. Yeah.
So those
and
are
then it's
unique families and new to the system each month.
Yes, and it's counting the new heads of household. So that would be for December, it was 909 new heads of household.
And the same with placements, those are individual placements each month.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Letitia or Eric, I'm sorry, either one.
Go ahead, Letitia.
Thank you, Eric. I know that this question has been asked in the COC committee, but I'm wondering if next go around we could get a breakdown of families, the number of individuals in families, even the number of children in families, if that's at all possible. And I also have a question regarding the employment numbers or jobs numbers, and just the numbers in general. Is there any way we could get a comparison to other continuums of like size, just to see how we're doing with other providers in the country? I don't know if that's possible, but I would just be interested to know, specifically around the 52% an increase in jobs and income growth. You know, how are we doing?
So for the latter part of the question, comparing to other continuums of care, I don't know that they all publish this type of like quarterly update, but we can look at their 2020 submission. So we could do an analysis of that to kind of see where we're at for the last submission, and then we'll have to wait for the next submission, you know, so, but that's something that we could do. We wouldn't be able to compare exactly these numbers because we're doing a little bit more real-time quarterly updates for this section, but we can look into that. For the first part of the question for having the number of persons rather than the heads of household, I know we're investigating that. So we'll definitely keep you updated. We are aiming to have it for the next quarterly report.
I'm just curious to see if the number of individuals in households surpasses the number of individuals that we serve, period, single.
Maggie, Chair Balch, Tish, we did add it to the active dashboard each month. It does have person count in there. And as Maggie mentioned, we're looking as to how we can incorporate in the quarterly synthesis.
That's
So
right.
for the time being, look at the dashboard, but it won't be part of the, at least this quarter's synthesis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie.
Eric.
Thank you. I am just wanted to comment that I'm very, very pleased and excited to have this tool, as we've talked about before, sharing my particular proclivities for infographics. So thank you for making it also readable and easy to understand. And then I just would note a couple things. One, I think on the jobs and income growth, it's nice to see that tracking with the other data of how the region is performing related to jobs, because I think we are seeing some significant uptick there. So it's nice to see that this is kind of following and that we're accessing, our population is also able to access some of those jobs and see their own personal income grow. So I'm pleased with that. Unfortunately, I think the other trends also track the general regional housing availability, right, and housing affordability trends. So this is a great way to know. I would just also highlight that at our last strategic planning session, we agreed as a board to kind of match up these system performance measures with the regional plan and in ways to kind of make sure that we have an accountability structure for ourselves. So all the more reason this is really helpful, Maggie, and important for us. So I'll keep it short because I know I've got another meeting to get to. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Lisa?
Just one last thing on the reduced first-time homeless. Can you explain that just a little bit more in depth so I understand? Does that mean we have 10,792 who are first-time homeless?
Yes.
It's an increase? Okay.
Within this quarter.
Okay. And then to Eric's point, as we overlay with the regional plan, in that plan, I believe that there are strategies promoting diversion from homelessness at the front end. And to me, that would tie into here. I don't know if we can count that within here. I don't think the successful exit to permanent housing, I don't think we count diversion within that. So how do we capture that? Because there's a lot of effort going on to divert people who are otherwise would have been first-time homeless. And if we can count that as a measure towards our system performance measurements, I think it could be significant if that's allowable.
Stephanie, feel free to chime in. I don't think diversion numbers are really included in at least these HUD reported system performance measures, but I know it's a very important data point that we definitely should investigate more and find a way to incorporate here and in the regional plan. So it's something I'll take note of and definitely look into more.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So Lisa, that's one of the items like we discussed in our last strategic planning session that we could add to our overlay. But it's not, the system's performance measures are defined by HUD. So it just doesn't happen to be one of their defined measures. Stephanie or Liz.
Hi,
Liz.
yeah, I just want, oh, sorry.
Or Stephanie, go ahead. No, go ahead. I couldn't tell if that was an old hand or a new hand.
No problem. I just wanted to clarify a little bit about the successful exits to permanent housing destinations. So for HMIS, positive exit destinations would include staying or living with family permanent tenure, which should be what diversion clients are getting exited out to. So we could do a little bit of a deeper look into that, but yes, it should be included in permanent housing destinations.
So in saying that, Stephanie, are you saying that when people are logging diversion in HMIS, they should be logging the exit to, and that would fall into, it should be a permanent housing exit?
Yeah, it would be a positive exit from the system, yes.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Stephanie, can you tell me how the reduced first-time homeless data is factored? Is it new HMIS entries?
For which one, the reduced first-time homeless?
Yes.
Yeah, so we're looking at our inflow and we're looking at those who are new to the system. So they're clients who have not returned from inactive or from a housing destination. They're new to the system.
And that's like any program, street outreach, shelter, any program?
Yeah, this is system-wide, correct.
And is it also, thank you so much. Is it also system-wide, the reduced returns within 1 year? Is that system-wide or is it only certain project types?
This is system-wide. So this is our system performance measures looking at the reporting year for the entire system for both families and singles.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
On that same note, Stephanie, this would, on those two exact questions, it would be new to our regional homeless delivery system, correct? They could have been homeless in another system. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. It would just be new to Maricopa system. So we don't have any way to, communicate with another COC system, unfortunately. So they very well could be experiencing homelessness for a long period of time, but they would be new to the Maricopa system. That is correct.
Okay. So it doesn't matter that they say, I've been homeless for 10 years when we get them into our system because we're counting new to our system.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Okay. Yes.
Appreciate that. All right. Any other questions, comments from the board? I'd like to say Maggie and Solari and everybody that's involved in this, this is a fantastic document. I know we might continue to do some tweaks in terms of, how we note little things on it so that everybody that sees it can understand. And I think that's one of the things we wanted to discuss today, if I'm correct, is how we would like to communicate this, where we would like this document to live. If we want it to be sent to certain people on a quarterly basis. So if there's any feedback, comments on that. Rob, I see you have your hand up. Oh, but you're muted.
Sorry about that. I just really wanted to acknowledge and echo what Eric was saying to Maggie and the team putting this together. It's wonderful information. The way that it's displayed, it's going to be very, very easy to share it with other individuals. So I know there's a lot of magic that goes behind reports like this, but you made it look seamless. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very true. Okay. And am I correct, staff, that we do want to talk about where we're going to communicate this, or is this something we would like to put into our communication strategy meeting that we have coming up?
Chair Balch, members of the board, I would recommend putting that in your communication and strategic planning session, given the time constraint that you have today.
Okay, great. And I think too, I would just like to mention that the legislative communication and statements we could also discuss in that strategy session. All right, well, thank you guys so much. I'm super excited to see that. I can't wait to look at it a lot closer and just feel and breathe it. I'm super excited. Thank you guys so much for that.
Thank you.
Chair Balch, you do need an approval of this.
Oh, thank you for that reminder. Okay. And we're going to, if I'm understanding our decision correctly, we will be approving it monthly before communicating it out to the public. Is that correct? I'm sorry, not monthly, quarterly. Okay. And then Maggie, before we do this vote, you said something. You said the full report has more information. Do you just mean that full report that we're going to dive into and read, the one you showed us? Okay.
Yeah, I just did a high level summary. That's right.
Right. Okay, perfect. All right. Could I have a motion to approve this? I don't know what quarter we're in. Third quarter?
I would.
Fourth quarter? Okay, fourth quarter system. We're in the fourth quarter.
It was the fourth quarter that happened. It was the last quarter of last year that was included in this synthesis.
What program year are you guys using?
Calendar year. A
calendar year. Okay. Thank you. I'm thinking like a municipal person. Okay. Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the fourth quarter report, system flow synthesis report?
Madam Chair, I would make that motion. It's Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Can I get a second?
This is Chris, second.
Thank you, Chris. So we have a first from Chris and first from Eric and a second from Chris. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing and seeing none, I will ask Katie to please proceed with the roll call. Please state your name and your yay or nay.
Ishban Gambino.
Yay.
Jacqueline Campbell. Jacqueline, you're on mute. If you're joining by phone, it's *6. Okay, Eric Cole.
Yay.
Liz DaCosta.
Yay.
Marshall Franklin.
Yay.
Chad Gary. Lisa Glow.
Yay.
Chris Hallett.
Yay.
Rob Podlager.
Yay.
Joan Service.
Yay.
Charles Sullivan.
Yay.
Jackie Taylor.
Yay.
Danielle Wright.
Yay.
Chair Ryan Balch.
Yay.
Jacqueline Campbell. You with us? All right, the motion passes unanimously with 1 abstention. Back to you, Chair.
Thanks so much. All right. So following our last meeting, MAG staff opened up a recruitment for the new seat for a regional government representative. The membership work group met to review and bring forward a recommendation to the full board for approval. The membership work group is recommending Rachel Milne, Assistant Director of Housing and Community Development with Maricopa County, for the seat. Are there any comments from the membership work group or other members of the board?
This is Jackie. So I would just say that our applications were really great. I think we're all looking forward to our expanded membership definition that we've just recently crafted.
Thank you, Jackie. Appreciate you guys coming back together. You're very committed.
I'd like to add, just it's great to have the county back in this consideration, and couldn't be a better person than Rachel representing them. So if it goes well.
Thank you, Chris.
This is Marshall. I'll ditto what Chris said as well.
Thank you, Marshall. All right, Eric.
Sorry, I was trying to do a thumbs up and I hit my hand.
And
So
you did a
thumbs
hand.
up. Glad,
Sorry, that's like 5 thumbs up.
And for Rachel to be with us.
Perfect. Thank
This
you,
is
Eric.
Joan. This is Joan. I want to be a part of the Rachel Milne fan club as well.
We're all part of the Rachel Milne fan club. Okay. And there's Rachel Milne herself. All right. Any other comments before we take a vote? Okay. Could I please have a motion to approve Rachel Milne to the Regional Government Board seat?
I'll move, Lisa.
I'll
Thank you,
second,
Lisa.
Chris.
Thank you, Chris. We have a first from Lisa and a second from Chris. Do we have any additional discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none, I will ask Katie to take the roll call. Please state your yay or nay when your name is called.
Fishburne Gambino.
Yay.
Jacqueline Campbell. Jacqueline, *6, and you will unmute, I believe, on Zoom. There you are.
Yay.
Awesome. Eric Cole.
Yay.
Liz DaCosta.
Yay.
Marshall Franklin.
Yay.
Lisa Glow.
Yay.
Chris Hallett.
Yay.
Rob Podlager.
Yay.
Joan Service.
Yay.
Charles Sullivan.
Yay.
Jackie Taylor.
Yay.
Danielle Wright.
Yay.
Chair Ryan Balch.
Yay.
The motion passes unanimously. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Welcome aboard, Rachel. So Katie, will Rachel be official next meeting now? What's the call on that?
Rachel will officially become part of your meeting actually during your strategic planning session, because that is before your next meeting. So Rachel, I will get with you for onboarding as well as next steps.
Wonderful. Welcome aboard, Rachel. Okay. Moving right along, Katie Gentry, Human Services Planner, our Katie, will provide us with an update for board co-chair and discuss next steps.
Thank you, Chair Balch. So members of the board, none of you submitted a letter of interest to take on the board co-chair position with Chair Balch. So wanted to just open up a discussion around if anybody is interested in next steps, hearing that none of you are involved. Ryan will be terming off in October, and at that point her chair seat will also be up. And so hoping one of you will kind of step into this role and want to work alongside Ryan and I on agenda setting. So I will open up the floor to that.
I promise we're really not so hard to work with. We're really fun. Board.
Yeah, I'll jump in. This is Rob. Katie, as I mentioned to you, I would have an interest, but it's just really just being so new. I don't want to misstep. So that's really the hesitation that I would have initially.
I think, Rob, I really appreciate that. I think we're in a very interesting position right now because those of us who are quote unquote old are terming off. And so I think that it's going to be incumbent on somebody new to step forward. And then there'll be another opportunity for that come October. So we will get as much exposure and learning opportunities in as possible between now and then. So I encourage those of you who are new and fill the will to jump/dive right in to please express your interest. Chris?
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful to know who is terming out and then who has been chair previously, just to get the landscape. Is it a one-year term? What is it?
Yeah, Chair Balch, Mr. Hallett. The people who are terming off in October, granted they can reapply for their seats against every other person who wants to apply for their seats, are going to be Jackie Taylor with Save the Family, Liz DaCosta with CBI, Charles Sullivan with ABC, Joan Service with Arizona Housing Coalition, and then Chair Balch. The chairs are a 2-year term and typically cycle through so that one person would be stepping off every year. So theoretically, this is a 2-year commitment timeframe, and then when Ryan terms off, then we would get a new chair, and so you would have this kind of learning curve of old and new coming together. I may be speaking out of turn, and anybody from my staff feel free to jump in, but I don't believe anybody who is currently on the board has been chair at this time or in the past.
I don't think so, Katie. I think you're right. I don't recall anybody, and I'm looking at everybody to know when they haven't.
So there will also be, a whole bunch of board filling going on. And then all of you people who are new will be old. And so, yeah. Anyone else want to express interest? Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, just curiosity. Is there an estimate of prep time between meetings and kind of the landscape of the amount of time needed?
Excellent question. I'm going to let you answer that, Katie or Nikki.
Yeah, Chair Balch, Mr. Paulbacher, it's typically we do an hour-long agenda setting 2 weeks prior to the board meeting to set the agenda with the chairs review the last meeting. And then we send out chairs notes ahead of time. So reviewing those chairs notes. Ryan, you can chime in on this. So I'd say about 2 hours maximum each month outside of the board meetings. And then typically we do turn to the chair if we need an additional set of hands on any sort of work group or committee. We do ask the chairs to step into that if we don't have enough members of the board stepping into it.
Yeah, I'd say, Rob and everyone, it's probably 2 hours minimum. And then because emerging issues, just bouncing things off each other, preparing for strategic planning. The staff absolutely does the work, but there's an opportunity for direction by the chair. And then the chair, of course, is just doing their job of coalescing, communicating, making sure the rest of the members feel involved. And, you know, if there's anything that needs to be addressed, addressing it, you know, just normal leadership type activities. But the staff does all of the prep work. They're extremely organized. They make your job extremely easy. They're very easy to communicate with. They're very flexible in terms of recognizing that you might have a busy schedule and, you know, being flexible with meeting times and dates. And they always follow up. They never lose track of anything. So, I mean, in terms of being staffed on a board, you'll get the maximum level of support.
Okay, one last question. And so really this is to fill the co-chair spot until October, right? So there is going to be some team or no?
So if you accepted this position, the co-chairs are there's no hierarchy there. So you would be accepting it for a 2-year term. Yeah. And then you would get a new co-chair to replace me.
Okay. Okay. Jokingly, I would nominate Eric, but I don't know that I'm supposed to do that. So I don't know if we're supposed to nominate other people. I'm happy to do it if I have support. Again, just being new to it, but I also understand the cycle with so many individuals falling off, and I can't think of better support than the staff at MAG to help, you know, make sure that things keep moving forward. So that's my 2 cents. I think I can definitely make it work, and I will make it work.
So this is Marshall. My thought, one, Rob, the fact that you're raising your hand to say you want to, for me, I'm not necessarily concerned about tenure on the board. There's expertise that we all are bringing you, most definitely. And so it's really the expertise that you're bringing to the table to guide and lead and facilitate in the role as a board co-chair. So I just want to say, Rob, I'm supportive if you are putting your hat in the ring or whatever that saying or phrase is. I'm fully supportive of that. And please do not underestimate, I think, your ability to lead us as a group just because you've been on the board just a short period of time. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Okay. Staff, are you looking to do a vote today or just asking people to put in that application if they're interested?
Madam Chair, members of the board, if Rob is interested and you all are okay with it, we would recommend moving forward with action. We would need a motion to approve Rob and then also take a roll call vote after that. If we have more people interested, we can also express that, gather letters of interest and move forward from there.
Okay. Do I have any potential motions from the board?
I'd move Rob forward as co-chair of the board.
Thank you, Jackie. Can I have a second?
I'd second that. It's Eric.
Thank you, Eric. Is there further discussion? Okay, hearing and seeing none. I would ask Katie to please take a roll call and call for your yeas and nays.
Tishiamino.
Yay.
Jacqueline Campbell.
Yay.
Liz DaCosta.
Yay, and thank you, Rob.
Marshall Franklin.
Yay.
Lisa Glow.
Yay, thank you also.
Chris Hallett.
I echo what Marshall said earlier with a resounding yay.
Rob, I'm going to skip you. Joan Service.
Yay.
Charles Sullivan.
Yay.
Jackie Taylor.
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
Danielle Wright.
Yay. Thank you, Rob.
Yay.
The motion passes unanimously. And Rob, I will be in touch because we do have a brief onboarding that will help you kind of get through all the process. So I will get scheduled with you and then talk with you and Ryan about next steps.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. I'm looking forward to co-chairing with you.
Great.
All right. Very good. Okay. Moving on, Kelly Williams, Human Services Director at MAB, will provide an update on the Coordinated Entry Evaluation Consultation. Kelly.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for letting me briefly present this information. As many of you are well aware, the City of Phoenix was generous to donate or to provide money to MAG specifically for the Coordinated Entry Evaluation. An evaluation of our coordinated entry system is one aspect of our regional plan to end homelessness. The Coordinated Entry Subcommittee was created to create an RFP to put it out, and it was posted in December of 2021. The application closed on February 9th, and 2 applications were received. A panel of community stakeholders, including a representative from the City of Phoenix, reviewed the 2 applications and scored them and provided feedback, selecting 1 applicant. The award-winning applicant was Homebase, who many of you are familiar with. Last week, the selection of Homebase went before our regional council and was passed unanimously. If there are any questions about this, I am available, and I again thank you for your time this afternoon.
Okay, everyone, any questions for Kelly? Kelly, can you just provide us with a quick timeline on when that will start, when you anticipate it ending, and when we think we might see some feedback?
Well, Chair, I can tell you that we are in process with Homebase at the moment, going back and forth with the contract to get it into place. We hope to have it in place in mid-March and have the work begin as soon as possible. We expect the work to continue throughout 2022, and we're happy to return to the committee to provide updates as it goes on.
That would be great, just to sort of keep in touch with it and, get some feedback on how it's going. I know I would appreciate that.
And again, I would just like to reiterate my thanks to the City of Phoenix team for providing the funding to be able to do this. I think it will really provide some meaningful insight on how we can improve the process and help more homeless individuals receive housing.
Yes, thank you so much, City of Phoenix. Thanks for bringing that back up again, Kelly. That was a wonderful thing to do on behalf of our region, and I know everybody is appreciative. So thank you so much, Marshall and team. Joan.
Just a quick question, and this may be a separate agenda item. Would this evaluation also look at the coordinated entry assessment tool? Brilliant. Okay.
Yes. Sorry, I was checking my head, but I just wanted to affirm, yes, it will be.
Fantastic. I know lots of continuums are looking at their next iteration for an evaluation tool. So I look forward to seeing what those options might be as well. All right. Thank you so much, Kelly. I'm going to move on to our next agenda item. Katie will be providing, excuse me, a recap of the strategic planning sessions that we have been having as a board over the past month. Katie.
Thank you, Chair Balch. I will make this brief as I know we're about out of time. But as you all know, we had a series of strategic planning sessions at the end of January and throughout February. We did a bunch of brainstorming in your mural board, both around communication and about the different actions in your charter. We have ultimately decided to root those actions within the system performance measures and the regional action plan, which staff will be overlaying for our final strategic planning session, or hopefully final, in March. In addition, we will also be having a communications work group to talk about a communication strategy moving forward, which is going to meet on March 16th. If you, as a board member, are interested in participating in that smaller work group, let me know and I will send you the invite. It's March 16th at 11:30. I think that is it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Any questions from the audience on that, Katie? Or Eric, I'm sorry, or the board.
No, sorry. Yeah. No, just adding to what Katie said about that committee. I think internal, like our own communications between us and the regularity of when we get items and then how we communicate with each other, as well as the external communications. There were a number of things that came up in our meeting, and we'll take on, as many of those as we can with that group. So thanks.
Yeah, and we appreciate you taking that on, Eric, with the other members and lending your expertise for that. And just for the audience's benefit, as we were doing strategic planning as a board, we really felt like one of the major pieces was communication, how we communicate with you, how we communicate with subcommittees, how we communicate with the public in general. And so we decided to break that out from our strategic planning in terms of what the board does and how we measure our success, and have an entirely different set of dialogue and process around just communication. So we're really looking forward to that, and it's one of our major priorities. So that is what we were referring to. All right, I don't see any other comments, so I'm going to move on. The next item is asking the board, do you have any action or discussion items for future meetings that you would like to see added to next agendas? All right, we're doing a lot of communicating in different meetings right now, so I think we're all like really in flow with each other at the moment. So that's excellent. I'm going to move on. So for this next agenda item, comments from the board, is there anyone on the board that has announcements or events that they would like to highlight today? It's one quiet board. All right. All right. Seeing and hearing none, I hope to see many of your faces at the 3 o'clock meeting to talk about this very important bill. And with that, with no further business, the meeting is now adjourned. Thanks everyone for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your hard work.